on the next Roseanne show.
She has turned her personal traumas into 3 platinum albums, and her new release has already gone gold. Tori Amos.
Tori reveals her discovery.
I finally realized that Lucifer is a woman, wears white, and drives an ice cream truck.
And he's been called the funniest man in England, Eddie Izzard.
Today that I don't have time to come and talk to you. I don't have time for any of that. I don't even have time to hear the end of the song. We have to get started right away. I swear to God, I'm so excited about the people I have on. Should I say who I have on altogether or just... Okay, I have this great comedian named Eddie Izzard. Live from Beulah, Colorado, this guy who's built his very own castle, Jim Bishop. And I have, for your viewing pleasure, Miss Tori Amos. So we have so much. I'm so excited. Okay, here we go. We're going right into it. My first guest is the biggest comedian in all of Europe. John Cleese called him the funniest man in England, and Robin Williams is producing his one-man show, Dressed to Kill. Pretty impressive references there. Please help me welcome Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, she just lent me her nail colour.
Yeah.
And are we the same now?
No, I think mine looks like it's got a little more glom in it.
I got better nails, I don't you know?
You do, you have way better nails than
Boys
me.
have better nails.
I know, they have better legs and better butts.
I know.
But, you know, they're kind of lagging behind in the brain area there. So let's go right into how weird of a guy you are, Eddie. You kind of look like Ozzy Osbourne.
No, he kind of looks like me, and it really pisses him off. And, but yeah, well, I don't know. I thought I was supposed to look kind of like Kiefer Sutherland, like a...
Oh, yeah, a little bit like Kiefer Sutherland.
Like a more chunky Kiefer Sutherland, or something like that. But anyway,
Have you ever bitten the head off of anything?
No, I don't do any of that heads-off chicken. Is it a bat?
Bat, yeah. Rats
Is that a true story? I don't know. No, I don't do that. I just do stand-up comedy, and I happen to be an out transvestite, and people find that unusual because most people are gay and lesbian if they're out, but transvestites, everyone thinks it's drag queen, and it isn't, so... But I don't really talk about it.
You don't want to be called a drag queen,
No, because that's gay men. They've got that covered. Yeah. That's their area. Transvestite, it's male tomboy.
You are a heterosexual man.
Yeah.
You like women.
But all transvestites do. I do believe most transvestites, that's the difference. It's male tomboy or male lesbian. That's where the sexuality is. It's got nothing to do with my comedy. I do stand-up comedy. I happen to be out TV, and people sort of put them together and say, that must mean all the comedy's to do with transvestism. It isn't. I just like sort of Monty Python, Steve Martin stand-up, Richard Pryor stand-up. Those are my influences. So I talk a load of weird rubbish, and I happen to be TV and out.
But those aren't good transvestite shoes.
Yes, they are. Why not?
Because they have to have like a 5-inch awesome heel or something. No,
that's drag queen.
Oh.
That's drag queen.
Okay, so what is the...
The confused look on your face is what most people give to me. Most people look at me like that kind of, what? You know.
I'm just trying to figure, because I was a tomboy.
Yeah, so you're a girl tomboy. I'm a boy tomboy.
What does it mean, though? I don't get it.
Well, you like climbing trees.
Well, yeah.
And you put on makeup now. And I like climbing trees. I don't do it now, but...
I don't do it now.
And I put on makeup.
Well, how does it translate into sexually?
Don't know. It gets a little confusing, but I just fancy women. And I presume you fancy men?
Yeah.
Do you fancy women as well?
No.
All right. So we're the flip side of the same coin.
You think so?
Yeah, I know, it's difficult, but I mean, if you explain heterosexual, you know, as well, because that gets confusing. Well, it can get confusing to a Martian. I don't know. I can't explain all this. I wasn't really going to talk about this, but...
All right, well, then let's move on, because I'm totally confused now. I think I might be homosexual.
Well, that's good.
I'm having an Anne-Heche moment, as Sandra Bernhardt would say. I just want to get to the weird guy behind all that stuff.
Well, actually,
I know
very
somebody
boring.
really brilliant's in there, but I can't find you.
I know.
Well, Eddie, we're going to be moving to the garden, so they tell me.
Oh, right, the garden.
Okay, let's go to the garden. You guys stay where you are.
Okay.
See how we do it? Okay, now let me ask you this question, as I've asked all my guests since we went on the air. And it will be interesting to get your unique viewpoint as a European male lesbian tomboy.
Yeah.
So what do you think of all the mess that Clinton is in?
Well, it's, yeah, the Republicans want to spin it. They say it's sex and, well, it's just sex. I mean, I think from the European point of view, this is just sex. He's good at running the country. And if you tear the president off this perch, you're just, you're going around shooting the country in the foot. It really is.
Do you think that that's how most Europeans are looking at us?
With the United Nations. He got a standing ovation at the United Nations. That's the world. The world is saying, if you do this, it's very partisan. Because the Republicans got up and said, we want to make this non-partisan, non-partisan. They closed the door and said, it's partisan time. Let's just shoot the president. It's just totally partisan. That's all they're trying to do, is just get him off. Because, you know, that's what Republicans want to do. They want to get him off, put a Republican there, and then he can go and have sex with someone else and have illegitimate babies or whatever the Republicans were doing. Because it's all, you know, everyone has extramarital affairs. It's just stuff that happens in life. And
well, it's stuff that happens with politicians, isn't it?
And with humans. With humans. I think everyone does it.
But it happens more with politicians. And it does, and especially in England. I mean, my God, how many governments have been toppled over there by sexual scandal?
Well, I think if they're right-wing, they immediately shoot themselves because I have had sex with someone and I will now take my own life. And if they're Labour people, then they not so bothered about it. You know, it's just human beings. People have been doing this since the Egyptians, which is 6,000 years ago. So let's get real with it. And the honesty thing is just being able to say that these things happen. Right. And that's the truth of it, you know.
Well, what about
Thank you, 3 people.
No, I think everybody agrees with you, don't you? I mean, most people...
Yeah, we are kind of surprised.
What about the royal family and the way they treat them over there?
Oh, well, I'm not into the royal family. I have time for Charles. I think he's all right, but you know, the rest of them, I think it should be democratic monarchy. My ideas on the monarchy are very radical. I think they should, because they're our head of state, right? And they're not there to rule over the British anymore. They should be there to serve the British as head of state. It's a new idea. So that we should vote in the monarchy person that we want to have ruling, or serving us, as opposed to ruling over us. So every 4 years, they should have an election, and we choose a blue blood to run us. If they want to keep the royal family, let's do it that way. They'll hate that idea, but the press will love it, the people would love it, and they'd become much more in touch with the people, because they'd have to talk to them and say, well, as your head of state and as your monarch, I'll do good things. I'll, you know, put forward Britain in the other countries. I'll be a positive ambassador for the country.
I think that's true, though. I was stuck on what you said, and I like it a lot. It was like something has changed in everybody's consciousness from a long time ago where it was the royals ruled, and now it is to serve.
It is different. And that when Diana died, Diana became like Obi-Wan Kenobi, where, well, she has. You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Alec Guinness dies and then becomes this bigger force. And now Diana's got this bigger force that everyone came out, because everyone wouldn't have come out in the street if she hadn't died like that. And suddenly the royal family saw, this is how popular she is. And obviously a lot of that was because she was a looker and whatever. And, you know, and I wasn't totally with all her ideas. She obviously played with the press and whatever. But they do want something new, and the royal family has to change. They have to talk to people, basically, become part of humanity.
Do you think that will happen?
No. But then we should just, you know, get rid of it. I mean, because we voted to get rid of the House of Lords. We've got the House of Lords. These are people, some of who are just, you know, their ancestors killed someone in you know, in the 1500s, and they're still there, and they can make votes on our lives. They're just hereditary peers. It's a crazy idea. We voted in 1911 to get rid of them. We're just about getting rid of them now. We're just a bit slow. But there's a new European Union thing. I'm into that. This is this new thing.
What's that new thing about?
Well, it's just...
You're all going to, like, get as hip as we are here in the U.S.?
Well, we're going to talk to each other as opposed to murdering each other for many years, which we've done. But I know in America most people don't know about European politics because you get that 1 minute at the end of the news.
Right.
Where everyone's going, rest of world news, huh? You know, it's... and if... No... and it happens...
How dumb do we look? Tell us the truth. You don't have to hold back.
Okay, at the bottom end, very dumb. But at the top end, you know, but you've just got a lot more people to be done with. You know, like, you've got a bigger population.
Yeah.
But there's 70 channels of... Well, because we have dumb people. Everyone has, you know... Right. This dumbing down thing you've got. You know the dumbing down thing?
Yeah.
We don't really understand that.
See, I think that was so much of the whole Clinton thing, the Moronization of America, because while everybody's, like, totally distracted by oral sex and the whole, here's your dress with a stain on it, I mean, just making us bigger and bigger morons, so we don't even, like, look at the fact that they're cloning things.
I know. No one's paying any attention to world politics. You know, all this is going on. America's just floating around. You're treading water at the moment. And I think, you know, they should well, the Republicans just want to get him off. It's politics. It is totally partisan what's going down. And all he did was have sex. And if Hillary's okay with it, then the world, you know, the country should get on with it.
Thank you, Eddie. We're going to go check in with our castle man, Jim Bishop, in Beulah, Colorado. I never even heard of that, and I used to live there. Anyway, Jim, are you there?
Yes, Roseanne. How are you, sweetheart?
Oh, I'm fine, honey. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing great, Roseanne.
You built your own castle there, huh?
Well, I'm sure trying real hard.
Can we take a little peek at it before we go to commercial? Then we'll be back with you.
Yes, Roseanne.
Check, this guy's done
When
this
you
with his own 2 hands, man. Check that
my own 2
out.
hands.
Jim, you're a babe. We'll be back after this commercial to talk. Thank you very much for being on my show. Well, I'm very excited about a new segment that we're calling Very Vivacious Visionaries. They're weird and they may seem wacky, but they usually have something really important to say. Now, joining us from his amazing Colorado castle, please welcome Jim Bishop, the castle man. There you are.
Roseanne, let me take you on a tour through the castle.
But wait a minute, I want to ask you something. Hey, Jim, hold on.
Sure, Roseanne.
I want to ask you something. Will you please tell me, did you always know this project was going to be a castle?
No, Roseanne, I didn't. It started out as a stone cottage. Local people said it looked like, the rockwork looked like a castle, and that's how it became a castle, inspired by the public. Roseanne, we're entering the main foyer here, yeah. And we're looking at a Eiffel Tower-shaped fireplace.
Wow.
And you can see a staircase going up to the 2nd and 3rd level museum area and chapel and dance floor. You see some beautiful windows out in the mountains to the west. And now we'll proceed on through and to the left. And
Did you have it in your
on to
head?
the north here.
Hey, Jim.
We're heading north, and we're heading to an area of the castle
Hey,
here.
Jim! Jim!
Yes.
Hey, you know that old saying, man's home is his castle? Was that in your head?
Well, it's not really my home, Roseanne. It's going to be, it's a place for the public. It's the public's home. It's free. A place that the poor people and everybody can use equally. Wow. And now we'll walk over here. Here's my pile of rock where I pile up rock to build a chimney tower here.
Man.
We'll proceed a little bit further here.
How long did it take you? Jim, how long
Roseanne, this is going on 29 years, part-time. I work for a living. I'm a high school dropout. I don't have any rich daddy. I support my family and kids, and I work real hard to try to do what's right.
29 years? I'm just interested in what was inside your head, Jim. Like, was there something in your head about the people who build castles not being the people who live in castles? Are you some sort of a Robin Hood kind of a guy in real estate? What were you thinking,
Yes,
Jim?
Well, Roseanne, I am kind of a Robin Hood of the San Isabel Forest. I take off the rich and give back to everybody. And now, Roseanne, we're going to pan up at the chimney tower I'm building here.
Show us, yeah.
And I'm gonna go over here to a place where I load rock onto a lift. And Roseanne, this is how you build a castle. You
Okay.
take your two bare hands and you build a castle, stone by stone. I've handled each rock on the average of 6 times before they get to this point. And Roseanne, I hope someday you get out here personally and see this great castle. You're always welcome.
Well, I'd love to see it.
I love you, Roseanne.
Oh, thank you, Jim. We love you too. You got a great story, a great inspirational story for all of us.
I support my wife and kids, and I'm not a guy that fools around. I ain't had any extramarital affairs.
Yeah!
Roseanne. How's that?
That's right.
That's pretty good guy, don't you think?
Yes, I do. No, but Jim, what the hell were you thinking for 29 years when you fought everybody in the whole wide world that told you couldn't do it? What in the hell were you thinking, Jim? Just give us that, would you?
Well,
can you just tell me
Roseanne,
that?
Well, I was thinking, Roseanne, what I was thinking was I'd rather be nutty than normal. And when they said I couldn't do it, I showed them that I could do it. I'm a high school dropout. I work for a living. No rich daddy, no bankers, no loans, no interest to pay. A free man in a free country fighting for everybody's freedom, liberty, and justice. And I'd rather be nutty than normal, Roseanne. How's that?
It's great to meet you, Jim. Now go on back to work, and we're coming back with Tori Amos. My next guest wears her heart on her sleeve every time she performs. She has turned her personal traumas into 3 platinum albums, and her new release has already gone gold. Let's welcome Tori Amos.
They did a good job.
You look great. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having
How are you
me.
doing today?
TV always makes me really nervous.
Oh, why?
It's not my thing. Because if I'm not behind a piano, then I just kind of rabbit.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of performers are like that. Lily Tomlin was on yesterday, or it was actually on today that
Did
they
she
showed
sit
it.
like that?
Yeah, but we were both talking about like how performers are so shy when you're not doing your thing, and it's hard to not have a character or a song or something to be behind.
I put everything in the music, really. I think all my different personalities, I sing about them. So when I'm doing this, people think that I'm really boring, so.
I don't think you're boring. Okay, you're a little boring.
Yeah, I know.
But how about your incredible honesty and your...
Well,
How about
it
that?
doesn't go over well like at Thanksgiving dinner. You know, when things come up. I wrote this song called Father Lucifer, and my dad said, you know, I really resent that a bit. And I said...
Because your dad's a minister, right?
Yeah. And I said, but, you know, that's the one song that isn't about you. And he said, well, what is it about? I said, well, I took this drug, ayahuasca, which is it's, you know, a drug from the Amazon. It's like an elixir, ayahuasca. And anyway, you know that movie? What was
Is that like Prozac or?
I don't know. Honey.
It's like an
no,
herbal
Prozac
thing?
is like Gerber baby food compared to this stuff. So what happened was, what I tried to tell my dad is, I really asked to meet the Prince of Darkness because I had so many boys in my life that were kind of, You know, the kind where people say, guys would come up to me and say, why do you get those boys that are the bad kind? And I would try and live through them like they had some access to the shadow. And I was really trying to find my shadow side, which we all have. And you get so much power from that.
Are you on drugs now?
No, I'm not.
I want to go back because now I can't get off the. You got to go back because you got to. I mean, you got to be remedial with me, honey. I
Let's
have
go.
to know. What does that mean? Oh, so you went on like a spirit or a vision quest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
And so you figured out that you were attracting people to you because you couldn't face your own negative? Is that what you mean?
Because I didn't go in and really look at sides to myself, whether it was a side to me that can be a bit devious. And I would always...
Get the guy?
The other person was always sort of the bad one. I was always sort of the angel, and I really realized
I so have done that in my life, too. I so have done that.
I finally realized that Lucifer is a woman, wears white, and drives an ice cream truck. Rabbits.
Would that be bad, then?
No bad about it. I think that, you know, my grandfather was part Cherokee, and he'd always say to me, who knows if he had a little smoke going? I don't know if he had a little smoke. But he would say to me, you know, the power that the Native people always had was that they really could go on vision quest.
Right.
And instead of, you know, finding it outside of yourself, you really are made up of many different personalities, and you honor that.
Right. People have a lot of different entities inside of themselves, too. And now, a word from our sponsor. And more with Tori when we come back. We want to get serious for a moment. Total change of pace here.
Okay.
You started the National Rape and Incest Hotline, which is pretty amazing. I want to know why you did that.
Well, it's called RAIN, and it's a 1-800 number that you can call anywhere in the country. And what really happened was I was getting so many letters from women and men that had had this experience, violation in some kind of way. There was one particular night which really put us all over the edge, where there was a girl. She was brought backstage. She was hysterical. I finished the show, came back, and she said, I want to go with you. Anywhere, I just want to go. I'll work in the kitchens, anything. And I said, now, how old are you? She said, I'm 14 and I can't go home. And I said, why can't you go home? And she said, because I was raped last night by my stepfather. I'll be raped tomorrow night, and I'll be raped when I go home. I've been raped for 7 years. And so I called up Arthur, my manager, and I said, we're taking this girl. And then everybody gets on the phone with me and say, you're crossing state line and you'll be arrested for kidnapping. And I just said, you know, you're telling me I'm going to be arrested for kidnapping, and we can't do anything about this. So that was really the pivotal thing that got us to get together with the DC Rape Crisis Center. And it's a team of people that really wanted to find a way to give people tools on how can I change my situation. So that's how it began.
And it's huge.
We had our 200,000th call, I think, just a few weeks ago.
That's such an awesome thing that you've done.
It's a good team.
Such an awesome thing. We have also because of you, we have 3 women here today who are all people who have overcome and survived some kind of violence of that nature, and we want to talk to you. We want to hear what you have to say to us. We have Karen, first of all. Karen, you're 43 years old. You're probably mad that I said that,
No,
but it says it right here.
I'm proud of it.
Proud of it, that's cool. Will you tell us what happened to you?
3 years ago, I was coming home, and I parked my car in front of my house, like I do every night, and a man came out of the bushes with a gun in his hand and kidnapped me at gunpoint. from right in front of my home and took me to a second location where he had me take off my clothes in my own car and rape me for about an hour. At that point, I saw, I was waiting for my moment to try to escape, and I had that opportunity when he got out of the car to relieve himself. So I grabbed my clothes and ran to the nearest house. And you know when you have a nightmare and you're dreaming and you're screaming and you think that nothing's going to come out? Well, I screamed bloody murder, and I screamed 911, I'm being raped, call the police, and I was banging on people's doors. Unfortunately, nobody opened their door to me. I thought I had finally gotten away from this man, and when he saw that no one was helping me, he chased me down the street and captured me again and took me to another location. Luckily, the people did call 911, but they didn't, they refused to. 3 people heard me and they refused to open their doors. So he took me to another location, and the ordeal lasted for 5 more hours, so this was 6 hours altogether. And I realized that this time he said he was going to kill me, but he also, I mean, he was just really a crazy guy, and I knew he was crazy because he ran down the street brandishing a weapon in a residential neighborhood. So he just said, I'm going to kill you if you try that again, and I knew that I had to try something else, but first I had to decide that I wanted to survive. And I thought about, what do I know about rape? What do I know about rape? And one thing I knew is that rapists tend to dehumanize their victims. Right. So I decided I was going to become very human to him. And I was eventually able to talk him out of killing me and letting me go, because he said he was going to kill me up until the very last moment. So when the sun came up that morning, he finally allowed me to leave. And
I want to come back to you and talk about that. Just that... what idea you had to make yourself human in his eyes and to live. We're going to get everybody's story first, though, and then we'll come back. Your name is Terry. You're 28.
Yes.
And you were molested by your now deceased step-grandfather?
Yes.
At age what?
7.
Will you tell us a little bit about it?
I stayed with an aunt, step-aunt, and he would always be at home, and she was gone to work, and I would come in from school, and he would do things that at 7, I guess back then you're not taught.
Right.
This is wrong, because what your parents teach you is not, this is not what my mom taught me, you know. And she
Don't
told
they
me,
always also
it's a
teach you that
stranger.
it's a stranger?
It's a stranger.
Don't get in strange cars.
Right. Don't sit on strange men's lap. Don't go home with a stranger after school. No
They don't
one,
tell you grandpa's strange, though.
or grandpa or dad or mom or aunt or somebody, so I didn't know. And probably for about 1.5 years, this went on. And after each ordeal with him, he would give me 50 cents, 75 cents, $1, send me outside to play until the next time. And he always gave me money afterwards.
It's kind of to enlist you in the whole, making you think it's your fault. Huh?
That, and then as you grow older, I think what it tells you is that sex is for money. And you have, I guess, a prostitute mentality. Yeah.
We'll come back and ask you how you survived, too.
Okay.
And we want to hear from Debbie, who's 18. Debbie is not going to show her face in order to protect herself.
It was my 15th birthday, late summer, and a friend of mine invited me to go celebrate, have fun. It's a male friend. We went out just for a little while, and it got cold, so he's like, why don't we go back to my house, you know, we can hang out. Somewhere between leaving where we were and going to his house, we met up with 3 of his friends. And all 4 of these guys are my schoolmates, go to school with me. Went back to his house, 4 guys and me, and watching TV, eating, you know, just hanging out. My friend comes over, sits next to me, and starts tickling me, wrestling with me, you know, just playing. And I'm like, okay, let's get off, it's enough now. At one point, he starts to get rough, and I start yelling at him. He pins my wrist down to the couch, and my back's to the couch, and I'm wriggling around. This guy's huge. All 4 of them are just huge guys. He proceeded to touch me and fondle me and kiss me, kiss my neck and say things, and the 3 other guys were just standing around watching and laughing and pointing. They ripped my clothes off, and my friend raped me. the other guys, in turn, all had their way with me. It went on for about 6 hours. By the second hour, I just couldn't move. I just felt paralyzed. I thought I was dead because I was screaming so loud I couldn't hear myself anymore. I thought that I was dead and that I didn't know where I was. I was numb.
Then you had to go back to school, right? See him every day, and
Every day.
nothing was done to him.
For a year and a half, I didn't tell a person. All I did for a year and a half was I wrote, I listened to Tori. I just wrote constantly and just wrote everything down. And I still have it. And finally, after a year and a half, things changed.
What changed?
I went to a friend, and she told me, you know, she kept asking me why I hadn't said anything. And you don't know until it's happened to you.
No, you don't.
You don't know until, you know, you're so afraid what people are going to call you. People are going to call you a slut, a whore, just like those guys were calling me. They called me such terrible names. And I thought that's how people were going to see me if I came out about this.
You went back to the school and gave a speech.
This happened a little later in May of '97. There was a rain day nationally, and radio stations and TV stations everywhere, during their scheduled programming, they aired abuse awareness commercials, and radio stations played Tori's song Silent all these years. And in correlation with that, then the very next day, I had my own rain day at school, at my high school. And I convinced the administrators to play 2 Tori songs an hour, Silent all these years, and another song called Mean a Gun, which is a beautiful a cappella song.
Right.
And they played this twice an hour, every hour throughout the whole day. I held workshops, and during the day, I gave a speech in front of 2,500 kids. And while I was up there, I was smiling, and I was telling people stories about other men and women who had been abused and raped. And I could see those 4 guys in the audience. And I would look at them, and I was looking at them, and I just knew that I was hurting them more than they could ever hurt me by being up there and confronting them like that. And so that was so empowering and so gratifying. And that was a big step to my recovery.
I think they should continue talking. I want to know how you took it to the next step.
Yeah. Go to the next level.
Well, the next step for me was in the emergency room. A friend of mine called the police, and I met them at the emergency room. Unfortunately, the police were extremely insensitive. You think things have changed in the last 20 years for women, but
This was in California.
This was here in California, and the police detective, she came into the room and put her finger in my face and said, "I want your friend, who I had with me as support, out of here. You know, I don't want your friend in here." And I said, "Well, I don't want to talk to you unless my friend is here and there's a rape counselor here." And I kept insisting on that, and finally this female police detective backed down, but not until I insisted on that. It is now California state law that you are allowed to have a rape counselor and a friend as a support system in the room when you're talking about what happened to you.
And that's because of you, isn't it?
Well, I hope that I contributed to it, but it was a statewide movement to get that law changed.
For me, I just, as I grew older, and I didn't know that a lot of my acting out was as a result of being molested. And when I became 20, I began to volunteer for Rape Crisis Center, and I began to read the material, still not putting 2 and 2 together, promiscuous behavior, abusive relationships, and all this, teenage mom. And I began to volunteer for this Rape Crisis Center, and I was reading the material, and I was like, wow, that's me, and that's me too, and that's me too. And all the feelings began to come out, and all the emotions. I joined support group, and I joined with some other women who is called AMAC, Adults Molested as Children, to deal with the issue, to deal with...
Because we really don't have, I mean, we think we're over this issue and everything.
No, you're
We
not.
don't have any information about it almost at all to help our children, as to what to look for in children. Why is this information being kept from us?
Because I think of the myths that surround child molestation and incest. You think it's just a bad kid, a bad child. If a child doesn't want to go to an aunt or uncle's house, you may want to question that. If someone doesn't come out and say, it stops here, then you're going to have a whole generation of this going on, men as well as women,
Right.
as being molested. So I would think parents, educate your children and talk about the reality of child molestation, incest, rape.
On the other side, too, I feel like I want to say in the whole interest of, like, wholeness, that that people who are offenders, it's happened to them, too.
Majority of the
It's
time.
happened to them, too. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Great
You're all very brave. Thank you. Tori is going to perform a song off her latest CD when we come back.
Superstar athletes on the next Roseanne Show.
Performing Jackie's Strength from her new CD is Tori Amos.
Jackie's strength. Feeling old by 21, never thought my day would come. My bridesmaids getting laid. I pray for Jackie's strength. Make me laugh, say you know what you want. So I show you some more, and I learn what black magic can do. Make me laugh, say you know how you can turn me into the real thing. So I show you some more, and I learn, yes I learn. Jackie's strength. Jackie, hey. I got lost on my wedding day. Typical. The police came, oh, but virgins always get backstage, no matter what they've got to say. If you love enough, you lie a lot. Guess the day didn't come along. Mama's waiting on my front lawn. I pray, I said I pray for Jackie's strength. Strength, make me laugh, say Friday morning, Thursday night, far from sleep, I'm still up and driving, can't go home, obviously, so I'll just change direction, 'cause they'll soon know where I live, and I wanna live. Got a full tank and some chips. Was me and a gun and a man on my back, and I sang, holy, holy, as he buttoned down his pants. You can laugh, it's kind of funny, the things you think in times like this. Like I haven't seen Barbados, so I must get out of this. Yes, I wore a slinky red thing. Doesn't mean I should spread for you, your friends, your father, Mr. Ed, me and a gun and a man on my back, but I haven't seen Barbados, so I must get out.